The Buddha sat by the river, watching the water flow, his eyes calm yet infinite in their depth. The disciples gathered around him, eager to hear words that could unveil profound truths about life's mysteries. The air was soft with the scent of blossoms, and the river murmured its ceaseless song to all who listened. Ananda, ever devoted, bowed deeply and asked, "Master, how can we overcome the bonds of suffering in this life?" The Buddha reached into the river, cupping water in his hands, letting it slip through his fingers with serene grace. "Observe this water, Ananda," he said. "It clings to nothing, flows freely, and reaches the vast ocean without resistance." The disciples leaned closer, captivated by the gentle authority in his voice as he continued. "Suffering arises because we resist the natural flow of life, grasping at what is transient and fearing the unknown." He gestured toward the flowing current, its rhythm unbroken by obstacles it encountered along its endless journey. "This river teaches us wisdom through its constancy, never lamenting a fallen branch nor rejoicing in clear skies." The Buddha's gaze shifted toward a blossom floating on the surface, its beauty momentary yet undeniable. "See this blossom, a fleeting gift from the tree, carried by the river without hesitation or regret." He paused, his words sinking into the hearts of those gathered, each pondering the quiet yet potent truth. "To live like this river is to know peace," he said. "To release attachment is to embrace liberation's infinite promise." A bird called from a distant branch, its song weaving with the river's harmonies, neither seeking nor fearing attention. The Buddha's expression softened as he continued his lesson, looking deeply at his devoted followers. "The past is like water upstream. It has already passed, unchangeable, lost to our grasp forever." His voice remained steady yet tender, each word imbued with care, carrying the weight of millennia of wisdom. "The future is water yet to come, unseen, unknown, and yet we waste our spirits reaching for its shape." He let silence linger, allowing the river's voice to underline his teachings, subtle but resonant as the disciples reflected. "The present, my friends, is this," he said, cupping water once more, holding it only for a moment. "A fleeting gift, gone as quickly as it arrives. But it is the only reality we truly touch." The disciples exchanged glances, their minds stirred like ripples from a stone, their spirits leaning toward the truth. "Master," said Sariputta, his voice laden with earnest curiosity, "if the present is all we have, how do we master it?" The Buddha smiled, serene as the surface of still water, and gestured for Sariputta to come closer to him. "To master the present," the Buddha replied, "is not to control it, but to embrace it without resistance or fear." He stood, his robes brushing against the soft earth, his presence grounding those who sought guidance. "The river masters nothing," he said, "yet it serves everything, nourishing the land and bringing life as it flows." The disciples nodded, their breaths aligned with the rhythm of the river, each finding clarity in its relentless flow. "Consider the fisherman," the Buddha continued, pointing toward a man casting his net with tranquil focus along the bank. "He catches what the river brings, neither forcing nor rejecting, and finds harmony in the simplicity of his actions." A cool breeze stirred the leaves above, and the sunlight danced on the rippling water, golden and ephemeral. "Do not let regret for the past or worry for the future cloud the clarity of this moment," he said. "The river flows only in the present, never looking backward, never reaching forward, always perfectly what it is." The Buddha's voice softened as he bent to pick up a pebble, smooth from countless journeys along the riverbed. "Even this stone surrenders to the river's will, polished over time, shaped by forces it neither resists nor controls." He placed the pebble in Ananda's hand, his touch light, but the gesture carried significance. "To surrender is not weakness," the Buddha said. "It is the courage to flow with life rather than against it." The disciples contemplated his words, each finding meaning unique to their own struggles and hopes. Their hearts quieter now. The sun began to dip lower, painting the sky with hues of amber and crimson, the world softening into twilight. Remember this, dear friends, the Buddha concluded, his voice as steady as the river's eternal passage. The gift of life is not in its length but in the depth of each moment lived fully. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts full of gratitude, their spirits awakened to the lesson offered by the unassuming river. The Buddha sat once more beneath the Bodhi tree, his eyes closing as he joined the river's harmony in silent meditation. The river flowed on, its waters endless, its song eternal, carrying the truth of the present moment for all to see. Another day, the Buddha and his disciples entered a village, where the air was heavy with whispers of suffering and despair. The streets were lined with simple homes, their walls weathered and marked by time's unyielding passage. Among the villagers sat a beggar, his frail form hunched over, clutching an empty bowl with trembling hands. The Buddha paused, his serene gaze resting on the man, who seemed consumed by an invisible burden. The disciples followed their teacher's lead, standing silently as the Buddha approached the beggar with measured, deliberate steps. The beggar lifted his eyes, which carried a mixture of hopelessness and yearning, as if searching for something unknown. "Great Master," the beggar said, his voice weak but filled with a desperate plea, "I have nothing. My life is empty and cold." The Buddha knelt before him, lowering himself to meet the man's weary gaze, his presence radiating calm and compassion. "What do you seek, my friend?" the Buddha asked, his voice gentle yet firm, as steady as a flowing stream. The beggar hesitated, the weight of years spent in want and sorrow evident in his trembling frame. "I seek peace," he finally said, his voice breaking. "But how can one with nothing find such a gift?" The Buddha held the beggar's empty bowl, turning it slowly, his hands moving with deliberate care and reverence. "This bowl," the Buddha began, "is like the mind, open and empty, capable of receiving what the universe offers." The disciples listened intently, their eyes fixed on their teacher, eager to absorb the wisdom hidden within his words. The Buddha continued, his voice carrying the rhythm of truth. "Like the steady beats of a drum, if the bowl is filled with bitterness, fear, or endless desire, it leaves no space for peace to reside within it." He placed the bowl gently in the beggar's hands, his touch light, yet it carried the weight of profound understanding. "To find peace, my friend, one must first empty the bowl of the mind, releasing what no longer serves the heart." The beggar's hands trembled, the bowl a symbolic vessel for the hope he thought he had long since lost. "But how do I release these burdens?" the beggar asked, his voice heavy with doubt and trembling with fragile hope. The Buddha smiled, his expression warm and knowing, as though he saw through the layers of sorrow to the man's essence. "To release, one must let go," the Buddha said. "Let go of what clings to you, for it binds your spirit." The village grew quieter, the gentle whispers of the wind carrying the Buddha's words to all who stood nearby. Attachment to pain, desire, or fear is like grasping a thorned vine, believing it to be salvation, he added. The beggar's tears fell freely now, each drop carrying away the weight of years. As he listened with an open heart, "Open your hands," the Buddha said, holding his own hands out, palms upturned, demonstrating the simple yet profound act. "When you release, the thorns no longer cut your flesh, and you create space for healing and peace." The disciples watched, their own hearts stirred by the truth they witnessed in their teacher's actions and words. The Buddha gestured toward the sky, its vast expanse unclouded, infinite, a mirror of the boundless nature of existence. The sky does not cling to the storms that pass. It remains open, allowing light to return and fill its void. The beggar gazed into the bowl, as though it now held the key to the wisdom he sought but could not name. True wealth, the Buddha said, his voice quiet yet resonant, is not found in possessions but in freedom from the chains of longing. He touched the beggar's shoulder gently, an act of connection that seemed to bridge the chasm of despair. The mind, like this bowl, becomes light when empty, able to receive the gifts that life offers in each moment. The beggar's trembling began to still. His breath deepened, as though he were inhaling the courage he thought had left him. Even one who has nothing, the Buddha continued, carries within a heart capable of vast compassion and limitless peace. The village had gathered now, drawn by the luminous presence of the Buddha, their eyes wide with wonder and reverence. To seek peace is to realize it is not found in the world's fleeting offerings, but within your own soul. The Buddha stood, his robes moving gently in the breeze, his presence towering not in stature but in spirit. The beggar rose slowly, his movements tentative but guided by newfound resolve, his heart carrying the weight of transformation. "Thank you, Master," the beggar said, his voice steady, filled with gratitude as profound as the teachings he had received. The Buddha nodded, his smile soft yet radiant, as though blessing the man with the quiet certainty of truth. As they left the village, the disciples reflected on the scene, each finding pieces of their own struggles mirrored in the beggar's journey. "Master," Ananda asked, his voice thoughtful, "does this lesson apply to those of us who have not lost everything?" The Buddha turned to him, his eyes kind yet piercing, as though peering into the depths of Ananda's soul. "All beings suffer from the burden of what they hold too tightly," the Buddha replied, his voice as steady as a mountain. "A king grasping at power suffers no less than a beggar clutching his pain. For both are bound by attachment." The disciples walked in silence for a time, letting the truth sink deeply into their minds and hearts. "The secret of peace," the Buddha said, his voice carrying softly over the murmurs of the wind, "is the art of letting go." They reached the edge of the village, where fields of grain swayed in harmony with the rhythm of the earth. "Letting go is not a loss," the Buddha added, "but a liberation, a return to the boundless state of the open mind." The disciples bowed their heads in gratitude, their steps lighter, their breaths freer, as though the act of listening had changed them. The beggar, now standing amidst the villagers, watched them go, his bowl still empty but his heart full for the first time. And so, the Buddha and his disciples continued their journey, leaving behind not a trail but an awakening. The teachings carried by the Buddha's words lingered, not in the air or the earth but in the hearts of those who heard. The village grew quieter once more, as though even the fields and the sky had joined the meditation of letting go. The disciples, walking beside the Buddha, felt the profound lightness of a lesson not merely taught, but lived. Another day, the Buddha and his disciples wandered to a vast field, where wildflowers swayed gently under the morning sun. The air was fragrant with the scent of blossoms, and the horizon stretched endlessly, unbroken by walls or boundaries. The Buddha paused, bending to pick a single delicate flower, its petals soft and luminous in the golden light. The disciples gathered around him, their expressions curious, wondering what lesson might arise from the silence and this simple act. The Buddha held the flower aloft, turning it slowly, his fingers light against its fragile stem. Yet he said nothing. The minutes stretched on, the only sound the whisper of the breeze, carrying an unspoken stillness across the field. Some disciples shifted uneasily, their minds racing to decipher the meaning of this quiet, wordless moment their teacher had created. Then, from the group, Mahakasyapa smiled, his expression serene, as though he had seen the truth beyond the silence. The Buddha's own smile mirrored Mahakasyapa's, radiant yet calm, like the sun's first rays breaking through the morning mist. The disciples watched, perplexed, as the Buddha handed the flower to Mahakasyapa, who accepted it with reverence and understanding. "What does this mean, Master?" Ananda finally asked, his voice hesitant, tinged with both respect and the desire for clarity. The Buddha looked at him, his gaze soft but piercing, as though reaching into the core of Ananda's being. "Truth cannot always be explained, Ananda," the Buddha said, his voice gentle yet resonant, like the echo of a bell. "Words point the way, but they cannot carry you to the destination. Understanding must arise from within." The disciples were silent, their minds grappling with the simplicity and complexity of the Buddha's statement, seeking to unravel its layers. "The present moment," the Buddha continued, gesturing to the flower, "is like this blossom, silent, complete, and fleeting, yet holding infinite depth." He paused, letting his words settle, like petals falling gently to the earth, each finding its place with quiet precision. "To truly see is to go beyond thought," the Buddha said. "To let go of the mind's chatter and simply be." The disciples bowed their heads, their hearts opening to the possibility that truth might reside not in seeking but in stillness. "Master," said Sariputta, his voice thoughtful, "how can we, with minds so restless, learn to dwell in the simplicity of being?" The Buddha smiled, his expression as serene as the field that stretched around them, unbounded and infinite. "The restless mind is like a storm," the Buddha said, clouding the sky, yet the sky remains untouched by the turmoil. He raised his hands, palms open to the sky, as though demonstrating the boundless nature of existence beyond transient storms. "When you cease to cling to the storm," he continued, "you find that the vast, clear sky has been there all along." The disciples listened intently, their breaths steadying, as though aligning with the rhythm of the universe's silent song. The Buddha turned to Mahakasyapa, who still held the flower, and said, "Mahakasyapa understands because he does not seek to explain." Mahakasyapa bowed, his smile unwavering, embodying the quiet, profound truth that needed no words to be known. "This," the Buddha said, gesturing to the flower in the field, "is life's gift, a moment complete in itself, requiring nothing more." A bird called from a distant tree, its melody weaving seamlessly into the stillness, neither seeking nor resisting attention. "When you are fully present," the Buddha continued, "you see that the universe offers its entire truth in a single instant." The disciples exchanged glances, their hearts stirred by the simplicity and depth of the Buddha's teaching, conveyed without excess. "Master," Ananda asked, his voice quieter now, "how can we carry this truth into the chaos and distractions of daily life?" The Buddha knelt, his robes brushing the soft earth, and placed his hand lightly on the flower Mahakasyapa held. "Carry it not in your mind but in your being," the Buddha said. "For truth is not a thought but a state." He stood, his form luminous against the morning light, like a beacon grounding those around him in unspoken wisdom. "Let each moment be a flower," the Buddha said, "to be held lightly, seen deeply, and released freely." The disciples nodded, their spirits lifted, as though the flower had bloomed not in Mahakasyapa's hand but in their own hearts. The sun climbed higher, its warmth spreading across the field, touching each flower as though blessing them with silent grace. "Do not search for truth as though it is far away," the Buddha said. "It is always here, waiting to be seen." The disciples bowed deeply, their gratitude palpable, as the Buddha began walking once more, his steps harmonious with the world's rhythm. Mahakasyapa followed, the flower still in his hand, its presence a reminder of a lesson beyond words or thought. And so, the Buddha's teaching lingered, not in the field nor in the flower, but in the silent, open hearts of those who heard. "And what of harmony?" I asked. "How does one coexist peacefully with the chaos of the world?" "Harmony is not the absence of chaos. but the acceptance of its rhythm, Buddha said. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.